Hello and welcome to episode 93 of Ready to Mosh. I'm Gem G, and with me, as always, the Steve Harris to my Bruce Dickinson, Mr. Kev P.
I'll say I'm more Bruce than you.
Why is that?
I just am.
Okay. The Bruce Dickinson to my Steve Harris, Mr. Kev P. Is that better?
That's better.
Okay.
Yeah.
So today we've got a guest interview. We have Mark from Dead Demons, and Dead Demons are a band who we recommended way back, I think, at the start of this year. We came across them through Metal to the Masses in Nottingham, and they made it all the way to the final there this year. They've got a new EP out on the 6th of October called Trial by Fire, so Mark came along to have a chat with us about that and lots of other stuff, including broccoli on pizza. Okay, so we've got a guest interview today. We've got Mark from the Dead Demons. How are you doing?
I'm all right, guys. How are you? All right?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Good.
Okay, and let's start at the beginning and tell us all about how the Dead Demons began, when you began, where you began.
It feels so long ago now. It feels like absolute decades, but actually, it was only 3 years ago. Right before that, we can't talk about it now. We're not allowed to talk about the P word and the C word. We're not allowed to use those words anymore. But right before the COVID pandemic, sorry, Rishi, right before that, all that happened back in January 2020, Chris came to me with a couple of the guys that we were in the band with previous and said, I've got these original material and I want to try and give it a go. What do you think? Something that had never, ever crossed my mind when I started out in music. I'd never really thought about writing my own material, do anything like that. And we said, yeah, do you know what? Let's give it a go. And it was... sorry, I forgot to ask before we started recording. Am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
You absolutely are.
So the exact words were, fuck it, let's go. And that was kind of, it was in the deepest, darkest of Doncaster. That's how it goes on our bio. And we it was really quick in setting it up, and we had 4 songs pretty much within 2 months, and we were starting to record back in March 2020 at the Supernova in Doncaster, and then all of a sudden everything ground to a halt because of lockdowns, because of everything that was happening. And then we had the drummer left, and then during the lockdowns we found somebody else, and then the bass player left, and then this is why it's taken us so long to get extra stuff out, because it's been almost like a Spinal Tap thing, as we've all said, like a bit of a rolling door, and it's been crazy. So me and Chris are the only two kind of left after 3 years, but that was how it all started, and it's been a crazy 3 years to think about it.
So I suppose influence wise, kind of what sort of shapes the sound for you? Who kind of like influences you guys?
Well, I'll talk about the current setup now, because to start delving into what was before is so I'll start from the back, the actual engine. So for Johnny, his influences, and this is a direct quote that he said to me the other day. I like it nice and easy, bit of AC/DC. He was in a Led Zepp tribute for a long time, and he doesn't like to admit it, but he loves Nico McBrain. He loves him. You can just tell. He's just bought a new rack tom, and it's solely for Iron Maiden numbers and a bit more Nico. So that's Iron Maiden's a big influence, and that is for me as well, vocally and stage presence wise. You must talk to hundreds of, you'll talk to hundreds of bands, and they'll all say, Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, the usuals. So the couple of things that are a little bit different, I would say, would be Chris is a big fan of Zakk Wylde, huge fan of Zakk Wylde. You'll have heard in the new EP that there's some pinch harmonics in there. What he got, obviously it's his massive influence for Zakk, the driving kind of biker rock kind of feel. More recently, I've been using my vocals more towards maybe more towards Blaze Bayley and a little bit of James Hetfield, a little bit of low Rob Halford, more growling, and just trying to make sure that there's a lot more mood in the song, a lot more emotion, rather than just a straight through, let's just get this pummeled. It's trying to engage a bit more with the story of the song. And then Pete, there's Van Morrison, but we don't like to talk about Van Morrison. He won't talk about it, but he loves Van Morrison.
He's the black sheep of the band, then.
Unfortunately, yes, but he's a hell of a bass player, so we can't get rid of him. There's just no way.
Okay, so new EP then, Trial by Fire, out on the 6th of October.
Yeah.
We've already had a listen to it. We really like it. But for people who haven't heard it yet, obviously, because it's not out, tell us a bit more about it and how long has it been in the making?
Well, since Johnny joined, so January last year, this one took a longer process. The first EP was very much a rush job. That you can hear on More Tuesday Ammonia that there's a lot of it's. I don't want to put Jason down at Supernova because he was a great guy. He did us a lot of favors, but it was a rushed production where there was miscommunication. We were all new at it. We want to sound how we'd like to sound live. So he went, okay, I'll just whack the gain up on everything. That's not really what we wanted, Jay. So I tell a lie, actually. Sorry, no, it actually started with Another Space in Time back in March when we recorded that. And that was obviously the original single. And then it built onto an EP. And that was the bar that we set. So for me, for Trial by Fire, there's a higher production. We've taken our time with these songs. We've actually built on them, and the way that they sound on the EP now is not how they sounded when they were first rehearsed. And there was moments in it that we went over, and that's now too much. We need to strip that back. And then there was parts where that's not enough. We need to build on it. And I like to say that Trial by Fire is the next step, and it's another bar we've now raised, not only for the EP, but live performances. And 12 years time, we're going to have a 25-foot Derek on stage spitting flames out his eyes, and and that's me dreaming again. I've been told to stop that. We can't have that. Too much in the budget.
And so obviously with the new EP, what's kind of like the songwriting process for you guys?
So Chris normally comes to us with an idea and says, I've got this, these few words, this couple of riffs, and then it'll normally start with Johnny, it'll build with the drums, and then Pete will latch on and do his own thing. As far as the lyrics are concerned, Chris will either have a lot of lyrics already written and then I'll start to change a few bits, or he'll come to me with a couple of lines, and then out of that comes, because like I said, I'm a big Iron Maiden fan. Helloween, there's the songs like Savatage, The Hall of the Mountain King, things like that tell a great big story. And Time Is Your Enemy is a really good example, because Chris came to me with one line on one piece of paper and one line on another piece of paper, and I said, well, let's just do that. They both fit. They both fit within the same mood of the song. They both tell the same story. Let's get them in. So that songwriting process is very much like a Dream Theater style. We all do it together in the rehearsal room. I don't walk off and write my own stuff and then bring it forward to the guys. It's very much a riff comes in and then everybody sort of just jams some sort of stuff together, and then out comes a song.
So I just want to talk a bit about Metal to the Masters, because you got all the way to the final in Nottingham this year. So how was the competition for you this year?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you very much for the blinding review that you gave us. It was a silver lining in otherwise a dark cloud. For me, Bloodstock is something quite close. I first went in 2018, and it was fantastic, and I've raved about it ever since. Metal it's in my blood, has been ever since I was 14, starting with Maiden and then moving on. And it's always been metal, never really rock and roll and things like that. I've always been a metal, in another lifetime, I'd be a gatekeeper shouting at people with t-shirts in the streets saying, name 3 songs by, Lamb of God. But, but no, Metal to the Masters, it was good. It was nice to... The competition was tough. Everybody was, especially as you moved on, you could see the level of professionalism that they started to bring. The final was unfortunate because Beyond Your Design didn't get to finish the whole set. It would have been nice to see them from the whole set. But between me, you, and the thousands of people that are going to listen to this podcast, at the moment I saw them play, the moment that they played their second song and they got that circle pit going, I said to my wife straight away, I says, they're going through, because there's just something about them that fits beautifully within Bloodstock. We do well at Bloodstock, but we are not we're not metalcore. We're not that genre that does really so well on the Hobgoblin, on the blood, the New Blood, on the Jaeger stage. We do well, but we're not the best fit, which I totally understood, and I still take in my stride now that, like you guys said, and I keep pushing Chris Sumby for it. If we play Stone Dead, we would do well, and he won't listen. He will eventually, but he's not listening at the moment. It's hard, but no, it was good, and it's always nice to keep playing, to see the level of how far we've come, and also how far other bands are starting to push themselves, and it's always great to see.
So, kind of on that, are you planning on doing Metal to the Masses in the future?
We don't know. This year was a heavy blow. Last year we got through to the semi-finals at Sheffield, and we kind of said, okay, fair enough. This year, to get all the way through to the finals, to lose out like that was hard. It was, I was absolutely gutted. I wanted to be pleased for Beyond Your Design at the same time, but let's be honest, you can't be. You wanted that to be that your name, but we don't know is the honest answer. We think we might be, but we're not sure. It's still something we're still a little bit sore about it at the moment.
Well, it's still some time away yet before it starts again. So, and obviously you've played Sheffield, you've played Nottingham, so and the things with Metal to the Masses, there's that many locations that you could even try.
Oh, don't tell Chris. I'll not tell Chris to listen to this. I've already said, we'll do Manchester next. He's like, no. For us, it's a great I think for every band really, it's a great networking opportunity as well. I think we got a couple of gigs out of Heel Turn Promotions last year from the Sheffield one, to talk to Tom Else and Laura Pearson, who ran the whole thing, that did a fantastic job. For them to sort of say, look, if anything comes up in Nottingham, do you guys want to be in? It's like, absolutely. I think that will be is a much greater reward than I'm going to sound stupid saying this, but you're going to say this is a runner-up. I think that's a greater reward than playing Bloodstock. But I'm not going to say no. I'm going to say, if somebody says, do you fancy playing Bloodstock? I'm not going to go, no, I've played it. No, it's all right. Like I said, we don't know at the moment. There's some things in the pipeline for next year that we can't share at the moment, that we want to keep under our hats, and we don't want to ruin them by committing to a Metal to the Masses that we don't know if we get through.
Okay.
Lips are sealed. I can't say anymore. No.
Okay, so let's move on to the quickfire round then.
Okay.
So, number one then is, who is the most famous person that you've met?
Oh, Jeremy Paxman.
That I was not expecting.
No, nobody expects that. No, I could have gone and said Steve Harris, Bruce Dickinson, but let's be honest, the most famous person I've ever met would be Jeremy Paxman. We were in the streets of London. Me and my wife were out doing the tourist thing, and he walked past me and I went, oh my God, it's Jeremy Paxman. And my wife did the best thing ever that she could ever do. Who the fuck is Jeremy Paxman? So I explained to her that he's the man that built the modern journalism as it was. And, because you've got to be a nerd. And I'm gutted because I went to shake his hand and some guy pushed him past me and went, Jeremy, big fan. I was like, so I did get to say, hello, but that was about as far. So I'm going to stick with Jeremy Paxman.
Great answer. What's your favourite pizza topping?
I went out to Poland recently, and it was ham, broccoli, and green olives. Yes, that's exactly the face my wife pulled. It was fantastic. It had no tomato sauce on it. It was like a white sauce, and it was like a pancetta ham style, and then it was broccoli and it was green olives, and it was one of the best tasting things I've ever had. I know it sounds strange, but it was fantastic.
So, I mean, the ham and the olives I get, but the broccoli, that's really...
Oh, it was great. It was
a real curveball.
It was great.
Favourite venue that you've either played in or watched a gig in?
The Night Train in Bradford. We are... they keep joking with us, but we are the house band. But Keith, Michaela, and the rest of the team up there are fantastic. We've played some fantastic gigs up there. Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons, Wayward Sons. with Toby Jepson, Jeff Tate. More recently, we played Bradstock this year. They've been fantastic to us, and I will never forget them. And they are pretty much for me the build up of where we are now.
I've heard a lot about the venue, but it's not one we've ever been to.
No, it's not.
I would highly recommend it. Very highly recommend it.
So, what's the worst job you've ever had?
I worked at McDonald's for 4.5 years. It was it's just a lot of fast pace, and it's fast food, and you treat like an idiot, you treat like scum. It was just not a great job. What song do you wish you had written? Wow, that's a great question. Arc of Space by Bruce Dickinson. It's I don't know if you know the song, but it's a fantastic song. It's very powerful. It's all to do with cultists getting the wrong about the end of the world. It's a great song, and I wish I'd written that one. It's a great song.
Okay. What was the last meal you cooked?
I cooked shredded beef with chestnut mushrooms, onions, with potato croquettes last night.
Oh,
I know.
Very much fun about the house then.
Oh, well, I didn't burn it. That was the main. I was really pleased that I didn't burn it. No, I can't talk about too much about it because my wife says I'm not going to stop hearing about this now for the next 4 months. Yeah, I'm that kind of person. Well, I'm a front man. That's you have to have your ego stroked somewhere, and if I'm not gigging, it has to be in the kitchen. What song would be your theme tune? Oh, I Want Out by Helloween.
Interesting choice.
Yeah, it's basically I don't really care for people's opinions, and I'm not really one to let people push me around, and it's I want out to live my life and let me be me, sort of thing. That's these are quick fire. I can't keep explaining them. I don't know.
Okay, final quick fire. What's your pre-gig ritual?
So I basically go into a quiet room. I'll get changed into my stage gear, and I will use Jacob's Vocal Academy. I'm really quite happy to plug him, and I do some breathing techniques. I'll then do a 5 to 10 minute vocal warm up, and then I will sing "The Spirit Carries On" by Dream Theater, because it's got the lows and the highs in it, just to help blow the cobwebs away. Before I spend pretty much the whole day on vocal rest to make sure that I can hit every note and not having cracking, because I can't stand the cracking.
Okay, back to the normal questions then.
Okay.
So you mentioned some of the support slots that you've done previously by kind of Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons, Wayward Sons, etc.
Yeah.
What would you say has been your best experience out of all the ones that you've done?
So I did an interview recently with Diane from MMH Radio, and I think in there I said that the best one was the treatment at the Queen's Hall in Nuneaton. It was amazing. It was a great bouncy venue. The crowd were really appreciative. A lot of the crowd had turned up late, and we'd had at least 10 or 15 people come up and apologise because the venue had not changed the timings on the tickets. Which these things happen. There's a lot of bands that are having to run through. But honestly, truthfully, I've got to say the Wolfsbane gig that we did at Greystones in Sheffield, to me, to play before and then to meet Blaze Bayley afterwards it's Iron Maiden, and he is kind of a he is a hero. Let me on it. He's one of my vocal experiences that I really got into during my pure Maiden phase. And to meet him, and he's so humble. First thing he asked was, "How was the sound? Was the sound okay for you guys?" Well, yeah. You're Blaze Bayley. Why the fuck do you care what we sound like? Why do you care about these things? But he does, and I've met him 2 or 3 times after that, and he's always the same. He's like, "Hi, you all right?" And "Hi, Blaze, okay?" And he's like, "Yeah. How was it? Okay? Is everything all right?" Yeah, absolutely brilliant, and I'll never forget it. And it was.
Yeah, it's always nice when you get somebody like that who you kind of look up to, and they treat you like you want to be treated.
A human being, yeah.
A human being, yeah. Yeah, no pretentiousness, no prima donna, just they talk to you as a person.
Yeah, and it was truly, just to waste 2 more minutes of your time there. We played with Toby Jepson, like I said, at the Wayward Sons in Night Train. And this one really, really blew me back. We played previous with Phil Campbell. Now, I'm not sure if you're aware, but Phil Campbell is still very quite self-conscious about contact with COVID and things like that. Ooh, totally understandable. So when I said hello to Phil and went to put my hand out, obviously he just went, "Hey, you all right?" And then walked past. It's not rude. It's just, it's totally get that. I think he's had COVID a couple of times and I think it scared him. So totally understand. Toby, I was stood just coming away from the merch and he walked through with his suitcase. "Hi, Toby, all right?" And I swear to God, I've never expected this. He went, "Hello." He put his suitcase down and put his hand forward to shake my hand, and he went, "How are you? Are you all right?" It's like, you don't know who I am. You're Toby Jepson. I know who you are. Little Angels, Wayward Sons, Planet Rock. I know who you are, but you don't know who I am. So why are you so polite? Get away, go away. And he didn't. He was fantastic, and I explained who I was and not just some random person. And he was so good about it. I did upset him though by saying, I love how you are on Planet Rock. You're such a fantastic host. Can you teach Alice Cooper how to do that? Because he's shit. And he didn't. Yeah, I think that was the end of the conversation there. He didn't respond well to that.
Okay, so you guys have done quite a lot of gigs and festivals this year. What's been your favourite gig so far this year?
This year, there's so many to pick from, and we like you said, we do a lot. I would have to say Bradstock. Again, nowhere has made us feel unwelcome. We've always felt welcome. It's always been fantastic. But for me, Bradstock, again, it's Night Train. It's kind of our home away from home now. But to play with people like the Priory and everybody, and Phil Campbell was headlining, but the Bradford crowd was just fantastic. They've seen us a handful of times before, and you think that they get sick of us, but they don't. They get louder and more excited every time we come on, and it was that one's got to stand out for me, really.
Yeah, well, it must be good to kind of when you say that these people have come back and they've seen you again. It must be great to have that kind of core support there.
Yeah, it's nice to see that when we play, they do come, and they'll come again and again and again. And I mean, it's got to the point now where Keith has said, "I can't have you as the opening support anymore because I get told off," because obviously it's early on, and he's like, people come up to me and say, "Why were they opening up? Why are they not on second?" And it's like, I understand you can't help that sometimes, Keith, but just saying, next time.
That's it. Give the fans what they want.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we know that you've got the EP launch party coming up.
Yep.
On the 7th of October.
That's right.
Yep. Have you got any other live gigs coming up this year?
Ooh, where do I start? We've just had one cancelled in a couple of weeks' time at the Vortex in Wakefield. I believe Liberty Slaves are having to sort out a new drummer. I think it's too short a notice. So unfortunately, we've had that one cancelled, postponed. So yes, there's the EP launch party on the 7th of October at the Dukeries Brewery in Worksop. The day after, we're actually playing a fox hunting charity event at the Church House in Sheffield. Without looking at my band diary, I've got to think very carefully. We've just had a gig come through on the 18th of November at the pub in Lancaster, and I can't. Oh, we're see, this is what happens now. If I don't have anything written down in front of me, it just sort of pops in my head, and in 20 minutes' time, I'll go, "Sorry, stop there. I need to tell you about this one." We are, in fact, actually supporting Wolfsbane again at the Greystones in Sheffield again.
Excellent!
In December, and we can't wait. It was fantastic last time, and to see, and we're looking forward to seeing how Jace is getting on, and Blaze. Obviously, they both had health issues, and it'd be nice to see how they're getting on. And yeah, so the launch party in Worksop. Sorry, I'm taking over a little bit here. The launch party in Worksop, we actually have two other bands with us. We've got Abattoir, which is a Witchfind band. I can't say tribute because Tracy will shout at me. Tracy was in Witchfind, and he's now not in Witchfind, but he wanted to continue the Witchfind music, so he's carried on with Abattoir. I'll be singing frontman for that one as well. And so I'm going to have a busy night on the Saturday. And we've also got Medusa Touch, which is another new Wobham band, which I like that. I like the idea of having two new Wobham bands with us on that night, because I think it shows not the turning of the tide, but the kind of the way that the sound has evolved over the years. And I saw recently a news article about Bring Me the Horizon and the Architects starting to headline festivals, and it was kind of saying that the legends are now passing on the torch onto the newer style of metal, and I think that's great, but there still needs to be room for the ones that want to sound like the old sounding, the heavy rock, the just teetering on the heavy metal side. I can't scream, and I don't think my wife would let me have tattoos all the way down my arm and up my neck, and I can't wear those T-shirts that they wear. I just look like a badly packed sausage roll.
You and me both.
So I like the fact that I'm playing with Abattoir and with Medusa Touch on that night. I think is perfectly fitting, and I'm looking forward to it.
So then, plans for 2024. So we'd already spoke. You're not sure what's happening with Metal to the Masses, and you've got something else coming up that you can't talk about just yet.
Yeah, I can't talk about that one.
Is there anything you can share?
So we have got a couple of things in the pipeline. I can tell you, because it's been publicly announced already, we are playing at SOS Fest at the Whittles in Oldham with the likes of the Hot 1-2 and White Raven Down and things like that. So that's going to be, because I remember seeing White Raven Down a few years ago at HRH in Leicester. So it'd be nice to see to have a band of that level for us to work alongside them. Aside from that, there's a couple of things that we're looking at, but there's nothing set in stone at the moment. Another couple of festivals I'm trying to push out towards Europe, but it seems to be a lot harder than maybe I wanted to believe. They are very. It's ironic, really. They want to really hold on to the old style metal, and when somebody who approaches them and says, we are closer to the old style metal than what the new bands are, they kind of no. So we're just hoping that one of them says, well, yeah, let's go for it, and then hopefully that'll be. But that's our next step, is to push out to Europe, possibly up and down the UK, because we are spanning out more. But it'd be nice to play some amazing venues in Wales and Newcastle and Scotland, and we are getting there, but there's nothing, unfortunately, set in stone at the moment. We're not at that level where we can start planning full-time, full-on tours and things like that. So, yeah.
Cool. Right. It's been fantastic to talk to you, Mark. Thank you so much for the interview, and best of luck for the upcoming gigs, the EP launch, which is on the 7th, and the EP is out, Trial by Fire, on the 6th. So everybody needs to give that a listen when it's released. Cheers, Mark.
Thank you very much. Cheers, guys.
Well, that's another episode finished. It was great chatting with Mark, and go check out Dead Demons. There's also a release party on the 7th of October at the Jew Cruising Workshop, so go there. It's free entry, and they are definitely worth checking out live. Really recommend them. And of course, don't forget you can find us on Instagram, X, that used to be Twitter. Does anybody really call it X? And Threads at Ready to Mosh Cast. And we're also on Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at Ready to Mosh. And don't forget to give us a 5-star review, write something nice on whatever streaming platform you're on, because that really helps. And we'll be back soon with another episode.
Make it stop, Moog.